Running a brokerage is hard work, so whether you're focused on building your own sales pipeline, hiring the best agents, leveling up your team's production, or protecting the culture you've built, you're in the right place. Real estate brings the challenges, and we share the solution. Welcome to the show dedicated to broker entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Brokerpreneur Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Brokerpreneur Podcast. I'm here. I'm Dr. Ben Spears, the Doctor of Flow, as always, with the big guy, Matt Vi. Matt, how's it going?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic.
Fantastic. I was lipping it, guys. If you guys are watching it on YouTube, you know he's always fantastic.
Always fantastic.
Let's go ahead and bring our guest in. Without further ado, we have the powerhouse of the Folson Group, an author, LEED certified, you name it, Tina Larsson, a great friend of Scott Mason. Also, if you guys are familiar with you know she's good people. Tina, how are you doing today?
I am great, and thank you so much for having me.
Of course, we're super happy that you're here. I'm getting ready to ask you, and it's like when you're getting ready to take a test and someone gives you the questions in advance.
Right. Yep, love it.
I'm getting ready to ask you. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got there. But before I do that, guys, wherever you're listening, hit that follow button and that subscribe button. We would absolutely love that. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and give us a like on this video as well. So now that I gave you the test early, right, and you knew the question, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Folson Group? And you're from Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. Tell us how you got where you are right now.
Okay. Well, so I moved from Sweden to New York City in 1994 with a goal of working on Wall Street. And that took a few little detours, but I got to Wall Street. And I was a business analyst and financial advisor and analyzing very complex data for the sole purpose of investing our clients' money. Then we bought a co-op in New York City, and in New York City, they're called co-ops. So elsewhere in the world, they might be a condo or an HOA or something like that. But in New York, it's a co-op. And every year they were increasing our HOA fees. And it started irritating us. And then so we held a coup. And I'm not talking, we didn't take over a country. We didn't throw out the whole speaker. We got some neighbors together and we organized a coup and took over our board with the sole purpose of reducing expenses so our HOA fees didn't increase as much. So because of my analytical background, I'm a numbers person, right? And so I went out and I got the financial statements for other buildings. So I had enough data to compare to.
Nice.
And then we made some phone calls, eliminated some services. And we were in the first 3 years, we were able to save our building $340,000.
Awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Separately, I don't know if you two have ever networked. But when you walk into a networking event, you know how much everybody wants to meet another financial advisor. Yeah. So I get a lot of eye rolls there.
Right.
So instead of introducing myself as a financial advisor, I started introducing myself as I'm Tina Larsson, and I helped my co-op save $340,000.
Right.
And a lot of them said they stopped rolling their eyes and they were actually interested in meeting me. And a lot of them said, can I introduce you to my co-op board?
Yeah.
So my husband and I, we hung up shingles.
Right.
We started our consulting business and we consult co-op and condo boards, primarily in New York, but elsewhere also, on reducing their expenses and upgrading their buildings and running their buildings more efficiently.
I love it. I think that's so killer. At $340,000, there had to be a lot of happy people in your building.
Yes. Yes. And that is millions by now. I mean, this is.
Oh yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We actually stopped tracking it because we went like, oh yeah, this is millions. So that's good.
Yeah, if you're not impressed by that, then whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so tell us, all right, so you said you're a numbers person, and so you dug into that. So as soon as you said that, I kind of started thinking about real estate brokers, right? Because real estate brokers, they have very complex financial statements, okay? So you were able to take what you looked at, which I think is an important point. You looked at other co-ops, and then you looked at your co-op and said, okay, what can I do better here to show some efficiency, right? I think as a broker, a smart thing to do would be if you've got some other people that you can sit down with that are willing to show you their P&L, and you show them your P&L, and you can sit down side by side and say, how in the heck are you keeping that low? Or I can't believe that, how is that? Because I'm assuming that's what you did, right? You were like,
Yes.
where did this? Okay. So as a broker, man, that's a takeaway right there.
It's huge.
Go find somebody else that you can trust, sit down, do your P&Ls, and compare the two of them and see if you can find $340,000, right?
That might be a good mastermind topic.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And the brokers, they have the financial statements because they need the financial statements in order for them to, for the purchase package.
Yeah, that's so killer. So tell us okay, so we've got the two financial statements, right? So what's the first thing that you look at? Do you look at the total costs that are spent, or do you start breaking down fixed expenses versus variable expenses, or what is it that you looked at first? Did you just kind of, tell us where to kind of get started with that?
Yeah, so in a New York City apartment building that has a staff, meaning a doorman building, they have approximately 150 line items. And this is not the audited financials where they lump everything together into operation. They call it repairs and maintenance. And then it has but within that category, they have tons of different expenses, right? Yeah. And not only that, then there's very often, so when it comes to water, well, there's actually buying the actual water, but then there's water tank inspection for buildings over 6 stories. They have the tank inspection, and then they have this disease inspection, and then they have this filing. So there's many different line items that are associated with water. Right. And so it took a little bit of, it was a little bit of a learning curve. But so we have hundreds of buildings and thousands of data points. So we'll take this new building and we'll dump it into our database, and we'll find the outliers. Right. And those, in most cases, heating, water, electricity, and insurance are the 4 items that are most commonly that we find savings in. Okay. But then there's always some abnormally, something that is out of the norm. Right. So, and it might be a smaller expense. So for instance, we had one building that was paying probably 4 times as much in exterminating service as all of these other buildings. And so we look at that, or if they have estimated water bills as opposed to metered water bills. So there are lots of outliers, but those 4 items are the ones where we most commonly find savings. So then we also, continue.
So that's kind of looking at the ordinary fixed expenses then, right? Because that would be common across all of them. So so if I'm a broker, that's one of the things I look at, right? If I'm comparing my P&L with somebody else's P&L, take a look at those, begin with those ordinary ones the ordinary expenses, ordinary fixed expenses you were talking about, right? Is that right? Or is that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They are fixed. We need heating, water, electricity, and insurance, but how much you pay for that doesn't have to be fixed. Right. And the same what we do, we also do cost reduction of projects. So replacing elevators, replacing the roof, windows, etc. Those have much larger savings because they are much larger projects. So the cost is a one-time cost, but they're typically much larger.
Yeah. So I feel like you know so much about this that you could probably write a book on it.
And I did.
Oh, you what? I did not know that. I'm just joking. Tell us a little bit about your book
and how people get it.
Yes. Okay. So I wrote a book last year, and it's called Living the High Life, and it has nothing to do with what people might think that it has. It's how smart co-op and condo owners protect themselves and their investment. And it's really a guidebook for HOA as well as co-op and condo owners. It's also a guidebook for boards, but it's written for owners or buyers.
I love it.
And thank you. And it's a lot of stories. It's our stories. It's my story. But then it's also untangling all the different aspects of the complications. So there's a whole section on the financial statements, for instance. And we were talking earlier about insurance. So very often we see the audited financial statements, and they have lumped together. So the auditors, and I mean, of course, this is the board, they can have them broken out. So very often they have real estate taxes and insurance. Well, in my building, real estate taxes is $1.5 million and insurance is $80,000. That's not, it doesn't make sense to lump them together, right?
Right.
So I have a whole section about finances and statements, etc., and understand and how to best practices. And it's also community building. And yeah, so it's a guidebook. A lot of real estate agents use them as a gift for new buyers. So when their clients buy an apartment, they'll have me send them a book from them.
I love it.
And it's available on Amazon. On Amazon, it's available on Amazon.
I was just looking on Audible while we were talking to see if it was on there. I'll go on Amazon in a minute and get it, because I know a bunch of people I can get that book to. That I know for a fact that's gonna. Yeah, that's so killer.
Matt's forming a coup.
Yes. Oh, I talk about. Oh, the coup is described very detailed in the book. Not one sentence, but no, it talks about the coup. And lawsuits and many other things.
I bet.
Yeah, for sure. We'll make sure to get some copies. And of course, I'll put the link in the description below. So a couple of things, you obviously don't do this by yourself, right? You have, their partner in crime. Is that right?
My partner in crime is my husband.
Yeah.
And he's actually, for full disclosure, he's actually the board member. I was never on the board, because you can only be one board member from each apartment. And we organized this together. And then we decided, he's more diplomatic than I am. So he's the board member, but as soon as we took over the board, I say we, but I wasn't on the board. They appointed me to be on the finance committee.
Yeah. I'm fascinated. I truly am fascinated about what you do. And one thing that as a marketing person that I love is that you found your niche, right? Because just like you said, there's so many financial advisors out there. Is there I can't even think, is there anyone else that does what you do?
No. And that is wonderful.
I'm sure.
And one of the things is that we often get people telling us or suggesting, they say, why don't you help commercial buildings? And we're like, if it's a large commercial building, they can hire a McKinsey & Company. If they have enough funds behind them, they don't need us. There are plenty of consultants, but for our little niche, it's us.
Yeah. I love that. You know what else I love the most about this, and people probably can hear it through if they're listening to the podcast, but if they're watching, I know that they'll pick up on this. You have been smiling the entire time. Not everybody that deals with HOAs smiles the entire time.
Like nobody.
And so that means that you found what you love and you're doing at it, and you got to be crushing it. And part of the reason why you got to be crushing it, right? One is because Scott referred you. We know he wouldn't have referred you if you weren't awesome at what you do. And secondly, You've written the book, you're helping a bunch of other people, you're finding all these savings. Man, just like Ben was just saying, you found your niche.
Hey, Dr. Ben here. I hope you're enjoying this episode. If sometimes you feel overloaded or alone when it comes to building your brokerage, I want you to know that we are here for you. There's so much support available to agents, but hardly any dedicated to brokers. I want to personally invite you to schedule a complimentary strategy call where Matt will help you build a 3-step profitability plan that will immediately produce results. This is not a sales pitch. There's no obligation. Simply click the link in the description below. Now let's get back to the show.
You found your groove. So we absolutely love that, because when you can bring that kind of passion to what you do on something that other people don't smile as much about, like you're smiling when they don't smile as much, everybody's just going to win in that situation.
Yeah. And yeah, no, I love what I do. And I very often people say, sometimes we speak with people who ask me about property management, how we're different. And we're like, well, the property manager, they don't smile. They're basically a complaint department. Of course they smile, but I'm joking. They're basically a complaint department. Nobody's going to call their property manager and say, you're doing a fantastic job. So the only time their phone rings is when they have complaints, right?
Right.
And we always say that we don't take complaints.
I love it.
That's killer. So, going back to the beginning, right? Just for a second, when you found this, because these are I like these aha moments, right? And so everybody else can kind of hear these aha moments. Was it when you saved $340,000 in the first 3 years that you're like, oh, a light bulb goes off? Or was there like a particular moment that was kind of like, you know what, like this is the direction that we're going?
It was it was several things. It was the $340,000. And then it was also in that discovery during those 3 years, we realized that the property manager has on average 8 buildings. I mean, you're business owners. Can you imagine managing 8 businesses?
Right.
I mean, one business is, I know,
Right.
One business is hard enough, right?
Yeah.
But so they have 8 buildings. So we realized that they don't have time, and they actually don't have any kind of financial incentive for going out of their way to cancel one phone line. It might take hours for them to call Verizon and cancel one phone line.
Right.
And they're not going to make any extra money off it. So are they really going to go above and beyond? I mean, they might go above and beyond on the things that they need to do, but they're not. And they have the same, I mean, they have data. They might have 100 buildings, so they have the data, but how are they using it? And what's their incentive of going, taking extra steps to do things, spend more time on the same amount of money?
Yeah, that's such a great point. That's not really their role. And I think that might be where part of the confusion comes in with a lot of HOAs, is the HOA thinks, oh, well, your job is to go find the least expensive this for me and the cheapest that and the whatever and this. And their job really is the middleman on the decisions that are being made. And so that's a really great point, right?
And then another thing is that, so they're doing the right thing. They're going out. So let's say that we need to replace the elevator. So they're doing, or repair the facade, a big project. So they go out and they get 3 bids, whether they do it directly or the elevator consultant or the engineer does it. But so there are 3 bids. But then the board is like, okay, so we have 3 bids. How do we pick? And the property manager has to give his suggestion. So of course he takes away the most expensive one, right? So we throw out the $2 million one, and then we have one at $1 million and one at 500. And they're not going to recommend the 500 because then it's a little risky for them. So it's always easiest to pick the middle one. And for board members too, it is naturally easier to pick the middle one.
Right.
And we actually have a client, or we just recommended a couple of weeks ago. They had 3 bids. One was $38,000 and 2 were $100,000 for the same project. So we spoke, and they had already decided that they were not going to go with a $38,000 one. So we called the contractor up and we said, we just want to confirm that you're doing all of these things. And we went through the contracts or the bids and said, are you doing this? And they said, yes. So we went back to the board and we said, we understand that you voted down the $38,000 project, but that's the vendor that we recommend.
Right.
Yeah.
You did the due diligence.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the same applies for real estate brokers,
Absolutely.
right? And so, if you're looking at your brokerage, I'll ask you this question, Matt. If you're looking at your brokerage, what types of those due diligence little things can you look at, because you've seen them all. But number two, I want you to touch just as much so on the importance of that niche, because we talk recruiting on here a lot as well, and the fact that she is smiling. Right, because this is what I want to get across to all these brokers out there. She's smiling because she's found her niche.
Mm-hmm.
From a recruiting standpoint,
yep.
Man, you can be smiling too. We help brokers with this all the time, and with our company, we help them find that niche.
Absolutely.
to make them smile while they're doing those things as well. So touch on those pieces a little bit.
Yeah. So whenever you're taking a look at the things that you do, your tech stack, I think from a broker standpoint is the first place to look. There's a lot of things inside the tech stack that there's probably a duplication there. There's probably a lot of things that they're getting 2 or 3 times inside their tech stack, right? So ability to digital sign, ability to track records and all that kind of stuff. So there's some things there that could be done a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah.
So if I had to start someplace, that's where I'd start. Let me get to the second half of your question, right? Because there's a 2-part question here. Let's get back to that smile. So today on a mastermind with one of our brokers, they were talking about something that they were doing it gave them the opportunity to be able to have conversations with recruits. And the whole time he was talking about this, same thing, he was smiling. So this was his chance to be able to get his current agents to go talk to other people about possibly joining the company. It was about his agents, the recruits and his warm list, those people getting the information they wanted. He was enjoying it. I know for a fact that if you like what you're doing, the people that you're doing it with see value in it, and you can get your agents involved and they see value in it, you're just going to do it more often and you're going to be better at it, which, Tina, is exactly what you're saying. You like it. You could see those things. Now you have experience. To begin with, you didn't have experience, but now you have experience. You know where to look. You know how to peel the layers back on this onion, right? And so you rolled your sleeves up and you dug in, and just like our brokers, we want to do that. We want to do the same exact thing. Take a look at your tech stack and then find a way that recruits that actually helps you out. And you can be smiling as much as Tina's smiling whenever it comes time for you to recruit, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I got one thing I want to touch on with you, Tina. I'm going to obviously get to how does everybody connect with you and that kind of thing. But I would not be a great host if I didn't bring up this improv class. And so if you have an improv class and that you're doing, you're trying to increase your speaking skills. So tell us a little bit about what that entails, number one, because our brokers, they want to learn how to be better speakers as well.
Absolutely.
And then number two, what's the direction you want to go with that? Like, tell us what kind of speaking you're looking to do.
And when's your Netflix will come out?
Yeah.
Netflix. Well, maybe with your help, we can do something on Netflix.
I love it.
You have. So I belong to an improv class. It's called Confidently Speaking, and the name of my speaking coach who holds this, she has a specialty in improv, but she's also a speaking coach, is Meredith Grundy. It's Grundy Coaching. So the improv class is online on Zoom once a week at 4:00 on Wednesdays. And we just do various improv games. And once a month we get to practice. There's a practice day once a month where we get to practice whatever working on. So if we're working on 30-second videos, or if we're working on one particular talk that we have, or one particular presentation, but in general, it's just regular improv exercises, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Hey, some of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so my goal this year is to end the year with 100 podcasts, being on 100 podcasts.
Nice.
And I might not make it.
We'll just do one every day. We'll just do one every day the rest of the year. It's easy.
So I know. So what happened was that in 2020, I had done one podcast. And I spoke with my LinkedIn coach. So I have a business coach, a LinkedIn coach, and a speaking coach. And my LinkedIn coach said that how he became a good speaker was to be on 100 podcasts. And I went like, well, that's a good goal.
Right. Absolutely.
So my goal was to be on 30 last year. And now I'm adding on to that. So my goal was to be on 100 by the end of the year. But my booker left, so now I'm on my own. So now
no excuses. No involving excuses.
Tell me what the
have that.
Tell me what the number is right now.
What are you on?
But my goal was to do a TED Talk this year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't happen. But
not yet.
I have a speak, which is similar to a TED Talk. It's an former TEDx organizer who started his own platform, and it's called Speak, and it's actually 2 weeks from now.
I love it. And we gotta have the link to it, right?
Absolutely.
So please get us the link. As a matter of fact, we put together a showcase page. We'd love to put that after you get that. We'll get your showcase page out, but after we get that, we'll put that link on your showcase page as well.
Oh, nice.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what number podcast are you on? Even if you're on number 12, tell us the truth. What number are you on? How many
70.
have you done? 70.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think we can.
I got a few I can hook you up with for sure.
Yeah, we'll get you going. So, all right. So we love it, and you'll crush it, and you'll do absolutely fantastic. Here's something that I want everyone to do. If you're listening to this podcast, and Tina would be a great host or a guest on someone else's podcast that the host, please reach out to her through the link in the description and get her connected. She's got to get to that 100. So I know we've got a bunch of people that listen to a bunch of podcasts. Tim, I'm talking to you out there. A bunch of people that listen to a bunch of podcasts. Let's make sure that she gets on all of that. Let's make sure she gets to her 100. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And many people know that we have a couple podcasts ourselves. Another one, Brokers Open Podcast. And I got some ideas for that one as well. But of course, we've got 3 or 4 people that we can get you in touch with. Now, Matt just mentioned, click that link in the description below. As of right now, it is invisible.
The link is
blank. No one knows until you tell us right now. Let us know what would you like for me to put in the link in the description below. Multiple things if you'd like, links to your book and that kind of thing. And guys, gals listening, I will make sure that I do that.
My links. Our website is thefolsongroup.com. It's not like the prison. It's FOLSON group.com. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. I'm on all social, but I'm very active on LinkedIn. And then, of course, you can get my book on Amazon.
Love it.
Absolutely.
We'll make sure the link is in there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, everyone, make sure that you go right now and connect with her because she's just an amazing person. And let's do a special thanks really, really quick to Scott Mason,
Absolutely.
who's a great friend of the podcast, for getting us introduced. And then last but certainly not least, Tina, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to put a little bow on it, Matt.
Yep.
You all good?
Now hit it.
Wherever you guys are listening, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, any of those places, make sure you hit that follow button. If you're watching this on YouTube, what's up? Make sure you hit that red subscribe button, that bell right beside it, and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Also hit that thumbs up and give us a like
Absolutely.
because, I know.
Not just because it's the cool thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Not just because Tina's awesome, but maybe because, you like us as well. And that's okay. Either way, we'll take it. Throw a comment down there and let us know If you're like, man, I pay too much with my HOA, it's crazy. Form a coup.
That's
Right.
right.
We're cool with that too.
Yep.
Go to brokerpreneurpodcast.com. Check out all the cool things we have to help you grow your brokerage, no matter what phase or stage of the business that you're in. Matt, we bring on amazing guests like Tina Larsson from the Folson Group, the powerhouse.
The powerhouse.
For one reason alone. Tell them what that is.
Thank you again so much, Tina. We really appreciate it. For one reason only, Ben, and that's because we want to be part of your win. Save you $340,000. How about that? What's
In
up?
3 years. That's ridiculous.
Thank you.